What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. And I'm sure you guys have probably seen videos, probably a few videos about Operation Royal Flush. I know I have. Uh, I think some are a little bit better than others, but people like it when I go over the legal stuff. And this information is current as of like a couple days ago. It's just taking me a minute to actually sit down and record this. But there's some misinformation out there, right? And I listened to the DA's press conference, and there's some nonsense that she said also. So I figured might as well address it. I'm dropping this video much later in the day than I normally do, but I said I would get it out there. So here it is. Operation Royal Flush, Kings County, targeted the Northerners. 70 some odd people arrested, 50 some search warrants. You know, you guys have heard the statistics, but I want to get into again some of the narrative that's out there, and then we're going to go through some of the folks that were picked up and what they're facing and where they're at now and what some of these hot ones were and that kind of stuff. So for a bunch of small towns, Kings County loves these big sweeps, right? They love these big law enforcement shows. 2019 they had Operation Red Reaper. That one actually led to some folks getting Fed charges that targeted the Northerners. And then almost immediately after those sweeps, they started investigating for what later on became Operation Moving Out against the Crips. And that was in 2023. Now, the DA said that, oh, we did this operation against the Crips, and then the Norteños filled the void. And we started to notice they were filling the void. So we started paying attention. But the math doesn't math, right? Because they also said that they started this investigation on a Kings County level in June of 2023. June of 2023 is the same time that they arrested all these cats in the Operation Moving Out, right? The sweep of the Crips. So there was no void to fill. It was one right after the other. And two of the three homicides that they say this gang sweep has solved, and who knows if they're solved or not. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, and sometimes you're still innocent even after you're proven guilty, right? So I don't know. But two of those three hot ones didn't even happen until after June of 2023. But then the Attorney General says that in July of 2024, that's when the Department of Justice got involved. The California Department of Justice. This is not a Fed case. This is a state case. There's nobody facing Fed charges as of now, right? And so they got involved July of 2024. And then in September of this year, the operation began. And that makes sense because when I go through some of these names and I go through the dates that are attached to what they wound up getting arrested for, even though a lot of them were arrested on November 15th, when you look at the cases that are filed against them and see when that supposedly happened, it's a lot through September and October. You know, it's not just what they were caught with that day. And that goes to show a few things, right? Is either, or some mix of the three. Either there's digital evidence, you know, there's pictures or there's text messages or something else where somebody's talking about making a transaction on a particular day, or somebody, has pictures of them holding something on a certain day. So that's the date that they put on the charges. Or you have people telling, right? People are snitching and saying, oh, they've been watching, they've been giving up information for a couple months. So the cops know the dates when these specific acts happened. Or they were caught, right? Some people were probably caught at the time and cut loose. And not that I advocate criminal activity or try to encourage people to participate. There really is no future in it. If you notice that you're getting busted and the cops are letting you go, and you talk to your homeboys and they're getting popped, they get pulled over, there's a banger in the car, but they get cut loose, right? They get searched, there's a little bag of dope in the car, but they get cut loose. You notice that's happening. They're not just being generous, right? They're giving you a little bit more rope to hang yourself. And so I don't know how many of these people got busted for something and thought that they were getting away with it, or thought that it was going to be no big deal. And then all of a sudden it gets snatched up, earlier this month. And they're like, damn, I thought we got away with one. But who knows? What also happened in 2023, though, is some folks were getting sentenced, right? They had some Fed charges coming out of Porterville for some drug transactions. That was a lot of fentanyl. There was no fentanyl found in this. I've heard some folks saying that fentanyl and pills, and there wasn't, right? There was some drugs found, but it wasn't fentanyl. Maybe some of that stuff later will test positive for being cut or laced, but no, actually that's not what they found when they were searching. But so I don't know, maybe those cases have something to do with it. I do know that there's an NF member from Watsonville who it's come out has been working with the government. And I'm gonna do a video about that maybe this weekend. So make sure that you're subscribed, you got the notifications turned on. So hopefully none of these guys in Kings County were talking to him. If so, then you might be drifting on a memory for a little bit longer than what you think you are right now. But that remains to be seen. Like I said, there's no Fed charges as of now. Red Reaper, a lot of those people didn't get Fed charges either, just for the dope. But anyways, another thing mentioned, well, I get this, the rocket launcher. Let me clarify something real quick. There's no damn rocket launcher. Nobody had a rocket launcher. Nobody was shooting a rocket launcher. That thing that's on the thumbnail, right? The AT-4, it is an anti-tank launcher, right? If you will. AT-4 is like a play on the number. It's a 84 millimeter, but it's the letters AT-4. Also, it's an anti-tank thing. So that's not an actual weapon. I mean, I guess you grab it and try to smack somebody in the head with it, but you ain't shooting shit. They're a one and done. You can go online and find them. You can go to old surplus places. You can go on eBay. So no, nobody was shooting rockets down the street in Kings County. People have that like little replicas for their man cave and that kind of shit, but it's not a weapon. Nobody's even going to be charged for it. It's not a crime to have it because it's not a firearm of any sort. So does it look good? I guess from a law enforcement perspective, sure. Right? Oh my gosh, look what these gang members are doing. There's thousands upon thousands of places throughout this country that you could find people that have them in their garage, and better looking ones at that. That one's all spray painted and shit. So yes, at one time, it probably was an anti-tank weapon. But once they're used, they're done. You can't reload it. There's no firing mechanism. So this whole rocket launcher shit is hype. There's no rocket launcher. Okay. And again, it's not a crime to possess it. I seen the picture on Facebook. I wound up getting at my homeboy who's a veteran. I'll link to the video we did actually. Him and I had a conversation in my conversations playlist like a couple years ago. A homeboy from the neighborhood that went off and joined the service. And so I sent it to him and he was like, man, it's just garbage. They're one and done. That's it. And so there's a lot of hype around that. The DA also said that Prop 36 is going to help them be able to prosecute more now. Not in this case. Very, very few. You'll see when I run through this. Very few people are charged with anything that Prop 36 changes the deal on. A lot of these folks are charged with violence. Prop 36 ain't got nothing to do with violence. A lot of them charged with possession of sales, transportation, all that other stuff. There's felony conspiracies and gang enhancements to this stuff. So I think it's hype. It's more of the hype around Prop 36 and how that's all of a sudden going to make stuff better. Another thing that was said in the press conference is the gangs are recruiting these young people to do these crimes because they don't face as much time. And it's true. As a juvenile in California now, it's harder to get prosecuted as an adult. The YA system is gone. So there is an element of truth that juveniles do not get punished like they're adults. Personally, I think that's a good thing. But that this idea that gangs, and I'm not from Kings County, right? I talked to some people over there, but I'm not from there. I don't have a lot of personal experience with folks from there. People are gangbanging. Kids are doing what kids do. And I'm not encouraging the behavior, but the idea that there's somebody from prison who's like, hey, man, you know what? We got to rob some stores. Hey, fool, let's go to the middle school and find some people and make them join our gang so that we can use them so that when they get caught, they won't go to prison as long. Like, that's not how it works. In some communities where there's a very strong line from prison to the streets, we've heard of stuff like that, right? Certain little groups of youngsters, maybe. But these kids are getting involved with this gang stuff and the hustling and everything else because that's what they do. And this violence, there's a lot of violence towards bulldogs, right? A lot of murders of bulldogs. But this violence is just called being a young gang member. I was shooting people as a teenager, and it wasn't because any big homie told me, or because I thought that I would face less consequences. It's because I was a gang member and we got off when we were mad at. That's just how it goes. So this narrative that the gangs are out there trolling middle schools to try to find kids to force them to join their cliques isn't how it works. Is it sad that these young folks are getting caught up and making life-altering decisions? Of course. Of course. In my opinion, it is, right? But to frame this as some intentional strategy, I think is a stretch, you know. But anyways, let's run through some of these folks and run through their cases. A lot of these people were already picked up, right? So you got this dude, Isaac Aguilera. He's 21 now. He's been in the Department of Corrections since 2023. He has a release date that like 11 years from now. That's his early release date. It's August 2034. He hasn't picked up any new charges in this sweep that I see. But he's incarcerated because shortly after 1 a.m. on August 5th, 2021, Aguilera, who was 18 at the time, a guy, Raymond Murrieta, who was 19, and then a 16 and a 15-year-old, decided to carjack a dude with a pistol at an AM/PM on J near Highway 190 in Porterville. They drove like a couple miles to the 1500 block of West Morton Avenue, shot up a house, and then drove not even a couple miles and got in a wreck running a light by a CVS on Westwood and Henderson. And then everybody got out and ran. The 15-year-old supposedly was the one who was driving. Sounds like he was driving like a 15-year-old. But they wound up getting caught. And so he's sitting in prison for that now. But again, that's a case that happened in 2021. You know, he's been in CDC since 2023. Nicholas Alcala, 31 years old now. He's been in CDC since 2015. He's doing 18 to life. Killed a bulldog. So on June 4th, 2012, he was shooting at bulldog Salvador Solis outside of the Sonora Cafe in Huron. He missed him, wound up hitting this other guy, Pedro Aspuro. The media at the time said that Pedro was an innocent bystander. He, best as I can tell, he wasn't the target of Nico, right? This dude, Alcala. He wasn't his target, but he also was a bulldog who had just left Los Amigos Market and had walked down the street and was eating. And that dude had just been shot like 4 times a couple months prior and barely lived. And on this day, he didn't make it. And so Nico, it took a while for him to get caught. He wound up going to Mex, and his baby's mama from Hanford, I think, you know, had their kid and then went down there, hung out. She didn't like living outside the country. She came back. He winds up coming back a few months later, goes to court, gets 82 to life. Again, no new charges, though, in this sweep. So he's added just for the effect of, oh, he has some links to Kings County and that area and Fresno County and that area. So we'll just throw him in this. But he's, like I said, he's already locked up and he's doing 82 to life. Jairo Madrigal, Lil Bam Bam, who's 30 years old now. He's in Pleasant Valley. He's been in prison since 2021. On May 17, 2019, him and his dude, Daniel Solorio, saw a bulldog, David Corona, at an AM/PM in Fresno. The dude winds up leaving, going down like Cherry Lane or Cherry Ave or whatever. They follow him. Apparently, Lil Bam Bam lets off with a 40 cal, shoots Mr. Corona in the head. He passes away, and he winds up getting caught. They both get caught. Now, it's interesting because when they get caught, when they caught Solorio first, right, getting into his truck, because the truck was registered to a family member's name, and that family member identified him as borrowing his truck. It's kind of shady. But when they looked in his phone, they seen text messages that seemed to suggest that this dude Corona owed Solorio some money. So maybe it wasn't because he was a Fresno Bulldog. Maybe it's because he owed money. But either way, they wound up getting convicted. Madrigal got, I think, 25 to life, something like that. But then the shooters, right, so supposedly the shooter, the guy convicted of it, Lil Bam Bam, he winds up getting life, but then also gets LWOP on top of that. Now, I did a video a long time ago about AB 333, which changes the way that gang laws are prosecuted in California. And I'll link to that here if you guys want to go back for a refresher. But I was very much in support of the passing of that law. I'm glad that it passed. And these guys actually filed appeals based on that law. And it was pretty interesting. It looks like Lil Bam Bam got the life taken off, but he already has LWAP on top of that, so it doesn't really make a difference in his sentence. I don't know how it might help the dude Solorio, but just kind of an interesting case. Now, this dude Lil Bam Bam, he does have a new charge also, right? Apparently September 27, 2024. This is an allegation. Conspiracy, possession of sales, transporting drugs, gang enhancements, along with this lady, the last name Cheryl, and this dude Rueda. I'll talk about them in a second. They were both picked up in a sweep. She bailed out already, I think. But so he does have a new case. Now, I don't know, where they were smuggling what into in 2024 when dude's been in CDC since 2021. There's a handful of people that have smuggling drugs and smuggling alcohol charges in this sweep. So kind of be interesting to see how that plays out. But now Jesse Arredondo, he's 19 years old. He's in Solano right now on a violation. Been in prison since August of this year. Was set to get out August of next year. Now he's being charged with a homicide in Corcoran, along with Boca Negra and Quintero. So he'll be coming back. But he's going to come back to face this. Young too, man, 19. Noah Quintero, 20 years old. He's also in Solano. He's been there since May. He been in CDC since May. He's supposed to be coming home in January. And now he's being charged with this Corcoran murder. And I'll tell you what the Corcoran one is in a second. And then Adam Bocanegra. He also was charged. He was on the streets. He was charged with the Corcoran hot one. He also is being charged with a gun from October 15th. Him and this dude Franco. So what happened in Corcoran? Right on December 27, 2023, police responded to Whitley and Josephine Avenues to find 31-year-old Charles Van Wolfgang Black suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Took him to the hospital. He did not survive. And just like 3 weeks ago, the Corcoran Police Department was putting out press releases on social media saying that they were trying to identify the third suspect. And so obviously they feel like they have. Now, the Attorney General said that 2 of the 3 homicides that are in this indictment, right? So this is one of them. The other ones are already been solved. These are open homicides that they're claiming they've now solved. Who knows, again, if they have or not, right? But the Attorney General said that 2 out of these 3 hot ones were targeted attacks by Northerners, and then one of them was a mistaken identity. So I've looked at the 3 murders. My guess is this is the mistaken identity one. If you look at a picture of Charles Van Wolfgang Black, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but when you look at the victims in all 3 cases and you're like, one of these doesn't belong, it's him. So I don't know that for sure, but that's my guess, is if anybody was just a bystander, I'm thinking it was probably him. So you have Giovanni Avila was picked up. That's for the Avenal hot one. Him and Ivan Lopez both. What happened in Avenal? October 27, 2023, police find Juan Blackie Carlos Alonso deceased from gunshot wounds in his wheelchair in there, East Madera Street and South 3rd Avenue. That's the one where police say they also have 8 juveniles that have been picked up for this. Now, I don't know how this works because in one of the reports that I saw, it says that this dude Blackie was shot. So how do you have 10 people, 8 juveniles, 2 adults, and adults barely? Giovanni Avila's 20, Ivan Lopez is 19. So barely adults, but 10 people and 1 dude dead from gunshot wounds. My guess is they're not all going to wind up facing murder charges, right? Unless, I don't know, maybe they beat the dude up. I don't know the circumstances. That dude Blackie had issues with the system before. He was busted for selling fentanyl all throughout King and Fresno County, like 4 years before he was killed. I don't know how, he didn't really do no time. They raided his house. They found a gun. They found possession of sales. They found fentanyl. He was on parole, or he had priors, and yet he did less than 4 years apparently. So that's another one, that they say are solved with this. And then Kettleman City. I was going to say Kings County. Kettleman City. You have Damian Hernandez, 38 years old. Nicandro Cervantes, 25 years old. Jose Flores, 31 years old. And Ruben Villagomez, who's 25. Now, Ruben also has a case stemming from September 23rd in which there's a possession of sales, transporting, conspiracy, gang charges, smuggling alcohol, all kinds of other stuff with Cruz and Lucero. And so, but he was picked up on the 15th, right? Like everybody else, but um that's one of the charges. The other ones are just charged with just this hot one. So in Kettleman City on April 22nd, 2021, 29-year-old Jonathan Sanchez, also known as Chino, was found dead from several gunshot wounds near 5th and General Petroleum Avenue. Gotta love the names of streets in small towns. I'm pretty sure he was a Southsider, but I'm not 100%. But that's my guess, right? That's what I'm hearing, but I don't know that it's 100% true. But regardless, he lost his life that day. And so, who's some of these other people, right? Anthony Gallegos, 18 years old. They picked him up on a drive-by that supposedly happened on August 17th of this year, along with Sonny Richardson. So they're charging him with attempted murder and drive-by, basically. Daniel Holland. So Daniel Holland's picture is covered up on the poster behind me because he wasn't arrested at the same time as everybody else, but they wound up picking him up on the 19th. And they got him on conspiracy, gang charges, and assault with a deadly weapon. He's 34 years old. David Zavala is 18 years old. They got him on a misdemeanor battery from like June of this year, along with Josiah Samuel Quinn. I think that's a juvenile. That's why his name's not on the board. And then on October 28th, caught him with a ghost gun and a prohibited person with a firearm. Handful of ghost guns. A lot of young people in this, man, with serious gun charges. But if you notice so far, there's absolutely nothing that has anything to do with Prop 36, right? Jose Galvan, 23 years old. Now, he's been locked up already since October 10th. They got him on a violation, ammo by a prohibited person, drugs, smuggling alcohol also. And he's set to be released next year on the 8th. That's his sentence for what they already caught him with. And it doesn't look like, at least at this point, they're charging him with anything else. So he's on the list, but he was already in custody, and it looks like he's ready to come home, early next year. So Julian Rueda, 34 years old, sentenced September 27, 2024, supposedly a conspiracy, possession of sales, gang charges, transporting drugs, along with that girl Cheryl and Madrigal, who I told you guys about before. He's got like $100,000 bail, but I don't see that he's posted it. Anthony Alvarado, 33 years old, October 10th, 2024, they got him for possession of sales, transporting drugs. They filed that on the 18th. He was booked on the 14th. And then on October 15th, they also got him again. So 5 days later for possession of sales, transportation, conspiracy, gang charges, child endangerment, which it's child endangerment if you have drugs and it's around stuff that a kid could reasonably be thought to come in contact with. If you guys remember the pictures or if you've seen them, there's one of a table or like a little dresser of a kid's thing. I don't know for sure that that's his place, him and Iniguez, right? But something like that will have you facing child endangerment charges, even if there's no child close to the drugs or anything else. Nathaniel Cortez, September 27th, he got possession of sales, transportation, conspiracy, gang charges, gun charges, smuggling stuff, all that. 150,000 bail, but he's still in there. Andrew Cruz, 31 years old, September 23rd. So you notice a lot of this stuff is September and October. September 23rd, possession of sales, transportation, conspiracy, gang charges, smuggling alcohol, along with Villa Gomez, who I mentioned earlier, and Lucero. Navor Radamosa, ghost gun, 24 years old, got him with a ghost gun. Damian Diaz, 18 years old, gun charges, gang enhancements from September 14th. Jaime Aldaco is interesting because he was charged with escape and battery of a CO causing injury and all this other stuff stemming from an incident in October of last year, October 2023. Then in July, he wound up pleading out to attempted escape, something like that. And the rest of the charges were dropped and he got sentenced to 8 months. It doesn't show that he's in the county jail and it doesn't show that he's in prison. So I don't know where he is. Matthew Corrales, he's right there in the picture next to Nathaniel Cortez, but they covered up his picture because at the time he wasn't busted. He's 19. So he got booked on the 18th, right? After everybody else. And conspiracy, gang charges, selling guns without a license, felon with a gun, prohibited person with ammo, receiving stolen property, all kinds of stuff. What's interesting is all those charges went away, and he was released on November 20th. And none of those charges stuck. So I don't know. I don't know what that situation is, but he was in there for a couple days, and now he's not. Yesenia Iniguez, she got busted with what's his name? Anthony Alvarado. And same thing, October 15th, possession of sales, transportation, child endangerment, all that other stuff. She's not in custody anymore. Havana Cheryl, she was part of the one that they say was doing the conspiracy and smuggling drugs with that dude Madrigal and Rueda. She's not in custody. Rafael Heredia, misdemeanor assault, like back in July of this year, and he got probation in October, and then also in October, winds up getting popped with a gun. On October 19th, violated his probation. So a lot of these folks aren't in custody, right? So the Jaime Aldaco, Matthew Corrales, Yesenia Iniguez, Havana Cheryl, Rafael Heredia, they're not in custody, and it doesn't show that they posted bail. Jesus Maldonado, 19 years old, on Halloween, he's being charged with a gun, gang enhancements, ammo, all that stuff. And then Stoney Franco, he bailed out, $20,000 bail. I know there was some talk of how they didn't find a lot of cash, so therefore none of these dudes had any money. There's a handful of people that have bailed out with, pretty quickly, right? And so Stoney Franco, October 15th, a gun charge. He posted $20,000 and bailed out on the 18th. He was the one that's also charged with that dude Boca Negra, but Boca Negra's in there because of that hot one too. Joseph Garcia on September 14th, felon with a gun. He posted $25,000 bail on the 18th and got out. Jorge Juarez, October 17th, possession of sales, drug charges. He posted $50,000 bond on the 18th. Marissa Lucero, conspiracy, possession of sales, transportation, smuggling. She posted $25,000 bond on the 18th. Benicio Ruben Sanchez, ghost gun, conspiracy, felon with a firearm. He posted $70,000 bond on the 18th. He's out. Jacob Arturo Perez, conspiracy, possession of sales, transportation of guns, or transportation of drugs, I think. I take that back. Stemming from an incident on October 2nd. He posted $40,000 bond on the 18th. He's out. Some other people may have bonded out like yesterday or earlier today or whatever, and I haven't gone back to look because I really just want to get this video done and over with, to be honest. Now, some of these people, it's interesting because I can't find them in the jail. They're not in Fresno County. They're not in Kings County. They're not in Tulare County. They don't have any charges in Kings County, right? All these other people have charges. All those other people I told you about, they all have charges except the one guy. That guy right there, right? Next to Nathaniel Cortez. The rest of them all have a record of charges. These folks don't. Anthony Macias, he's got some traffic stuff. Jonathan Ortega has some traffic stuff. Sammy Luna had a drug case back in May of 2022. Matthew Almanza, nothing. Robin Castro, nothing. Jose Orta, traffic stuff in 2015. Javier Hernandez, traffic stuff. Donovan Guzman, nothing. Although he did have a restraining order against some people that have the same name as people in this sweep. I don't know if they're the same ones, so I'm not putting it out there, but it was kind of amusing to look up and see that he doesn't have criminal charges, but he has filed restraining orders against people. Edgar Ortiz, nothing. And then of course you got the 21 juveniles that you can't get information about. So there you have it. This video is a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but the message, the moral of the story, for one, law enforcement and DAs, they're in the propaganda game too. We talk about gangs and propaganda, right? But law enforcement's in the propaganda game as well. And there's definitely a lot of propaganda attached with this sweep. There's people who they didn't need to put on this poster because they're already sitting in prison doing all day and they're not charged with new crimes. There's some propaganda here, but at the same time, there are also some folks, in particular, some young people that are facing very serious charges. And If you're that 19-year-old sitting in Solano who thought you was coming home in a couple months and all of a sudden you're getting charged with murder, this is a very serious sweep. If you're the loved one of, Blackie or Chino or any of these other people who lost their lives, it's also a very serious sweep. And so I don't mean to undermine it, but there's a little extra. There's been some extra tapatio put on this topic since it's come out. And so if for nothing else, I figured I would try to clarify some of that for you guys. Law enforcement is not going to stop trying to catch people that are committing crimes. And when you have a group of people doing stuff, in my experience, defending cases like this all over the place in California, there's always a couple people that flip. There's always a couple people that help. Like I said, you got a dude that I don't think a lot of people expected would wind up telling, who's now panicked because he was in Operation Quiet Storm and he was telling, and now he's spooked. They're going to find out. Guys, I'll be doing a video about that in the next couple of days. But there's no real future in it. Like, you're young, think it's cool, you curb serving a little bit, making a few bucks, got your little ghost gun, post your little pictures. They got laws against this shit, man. And when you're doing stuff they got laws against, there's a chance the law's going to come knocking on your door. Help others move with excellence. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time because you're worth it. Help your community because they need you. And stay tuned, man. Make sure, like I said, you're subscribed. You got the bell notification thing because I got some topics coming up that you guys are going to be interested in. And again, apologies that this is so late today, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Take care.